opening with Tipperick, obviously pulled out last minute against Scarlets on Boxing Day. How is he? Will he be back for the cup game?
He's trained today, so yeah, we're hopeful that he'll be back involved. Yep, he's. We have to see how he reacts really, but yeah, the signs are good.
Other than him, has everyone else made it through that game okay?
Yep, I believe so. Sorry, just a quick mental check there. Yep.
Fabulous. It was another, big win. Morale must be great at the moment. How's the feeling in the dressing room?
Yeah, no, obviously very pleased that we know that the West Wales derby is a big fixture, right, for all concerned, and we're very obviously pleased with how it went and our performance levels. So yeah, as we talked about post Montpellier and that, and even parts of the Leicester game, to get some performance momentum and now some results momentum is good, but we need to keep pushing forward because we started the season slowly from a outcome point of view, so we need to make up our time. So we know that we're playing against Cardiff, who are an informed side that have gone well, and we're going away from home, so we know how difficult that's going to be.
After that game on Boxing Day, Dwayne Beale, I'm sure he's always asking for more consistency and sort of the dangerous tackles. What did you make of the two incidents with the clashes of heads?
I agree with the referee.
You just agree that the first one was a red, but
by the letter of the law, it's about force. One's got force in it, one hasn't. So, but we understand that, and the referee, as he talks about the mitigation, is quite clear. So it's not whether that's the right process to go through is a different conversation, but the process they've been given, he's followed that and come to those outcomes, and whether we agree with them or not is actually irrelevant. It's that's the outcome he's given.
Looking ahead, then, you've already said it'll be a tough game against Cardiff. How do you assess the chance to get fit in the league they are right now?
Yeah, no, obviously going well, got a lot of momentum. Went to South Africa and won as well. So yeah, they've improved massively from where they were. I'm sure they're pleased with how they're going. We know that we've performed pretty well against them in recent times. So certainly since I've been here, it's going to be a tough ask, and it's another sort of Christmas holiday, New Year holiday type fixture, a local derby. So there's plenty of emotion kicking around, I'm sure, and often the battle here is around maintaining your emotion and your drive and determination on the back of a derby that's come before it. So we've talked a little bit about that, but we've also talked about how we can negate their threats and impose ourselves upon them, because we're going to need to be very good, as I said previously, away from home against a team that's got a lot of momentum.
With that emotion often comes a bit more of a hostile atmosphere, which we're sure to expect at Cardiff. Do you enjoy those sort of occasions? Yeah,
I think everyone does. That's what we do it for. We do it for that, that adrenaline, to do that. We've got a good record there, to be fair, in recent times. So from that point of view, it's a challenge, but the challenge that in professional sport you absolutely love. So from that point of view, that's it's one of those what you get out of bed for. So it's an exciting challenge, but a tough one.
Alex was speaking a minute ago about the back three for both sides and the threats that they pose. What do you make of that sort of head-to-head battle, the mini battle on the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's lots of little battles. Everyone will talk about that. They talk about the back rows. A very good back row. There's front row battles, and it's just in order to win these sort of games, which are always very tight and different sort of, they're more like arm wrestles really because of the nature of them, and you've got to each of your sort of mini teams have got to win their own personal arm wrestle, right? And if you can do that consistently or more often than they do, you almost find yourself in the ascendancy, and often these games are decided on key moments, and key moments are basically rewarded to the team that execute the best, and as you say, two back threes that want to play, two back threes that want to take people on, and as a result, I agree with him. I think it'll be a key battle for sure.
Perfect, thank you very much.
You've been modest there, but you haven't lost to Cardiff since you were in charge of the Ospreys. Is that something that you embrace, or is it an added pressure?
I didn't know that until I'd spoken to you about it, because as you know, head coaches work 1 week forward and 1 week backwards. You guys are the ones that remind us of stats that are either suitable or not to what we're about to go through. So no, from that point of view, I'm not going to say it's another game, it's another derby, and that's important. And that's important to everybody concerned. It's important for us in our season, it's important for them in their season, so it's not just a derby at Christmas on New Year's Day. It's, there's much more than that. They're in playoff positions, we want to be in the playoff position, so there's a lot at stake for sure.
Controlling or tapping into emotion is key to all these kind of Welsh derbies. You did that very well against the Scarlets, and some would say that they got caught up with it. How do you go to the well again as a group of players?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, and if I had the answer to that and I could bottle it, I probably wouldn't be sitting in front of you now, because if we can control human nature, then we'd be a very powerful organism for sure. So look, I think it's certainly harnessing that in the right way. I think there's certain things you can do to practice that and rehearse that and be deliberate about that. It's not just about, the emotional control is massive, because the trust and not getting carried away with the moment. So look, it's certain attributes you require as a professional sportsman, especially when the stakes get raised, and then you find out who actually can maintain that. We did that with a lot of experience on the pitch, and I think that plays a big part to it. And also, if you can control the scoreboard, because nothing affects your mindset more than the scoreboard and the momentum of the game, right? So key moments for you plus the scoreboard normally manifests itself in a win.
Yeah. In terms of there's a lot of hot air around Welsh rugby at the moment, as I'm sure you've been aware of and are having to deal with regularly. But with Ospreys being the French champions away, Cardiff won in South Africa, on the field, it's not that bad at the moment.
Well, we could do with some hot air here. It's freezing. So from our point of view, we can't. We talk about it and the players laugh at me, and we talk about controllables, right? What we can control, and if we want to influence decisions, the more we can put good performances back to back, and as you say, get some good outcomes as well. Then that things seem more palatable in the unknown. So yeah, I think that it's certainly been beneficial for us from a mood state point of view. But I can only reiterate again, despite all the distractions around, the effort level of our group and our players have been, well, not just our players, our staff as well, because it applies to them, has been exemplary, and they've carried on, believing in what we're doing, showing the effort to get us across the line. And as a result, the sooner we can get everything better and sorted and people's futures sorted out, the better we will all be.
One major plank of what you've done there has been the emergence of the likes of Derry Lake, Jack Morgan, Joe Hawkins, etc. But you've also done it for players who are senior internationals and lions, in terms of Alex Cuthbert, who we've just had on. Can you give us an insight into the mentality that he's had since he's been back and how he's embraced returning to Wales?
So you mean back to the Ospreys in total, not just as in back? So yeah. So Kelly's a great one, because obviously he left. He left Wales, and as he would put it, in not too favourable situation. I think he was a bit disappointed and a bit disillusioned with it all, but he was still the same player. And unfortunately for him, he didn't play as much as he'd like to have done at Exeter. And when we got together, and we knew that we had to manage him very specifically in order to get him on the pitch and doing what he loves to do. We've managed to do that, and Simon Church and the S&C boys and Chris Towers and the medical team should take a massive amount of credit for what they've done and managed him, and also supplied the management plans to Wales about how he responds best for them, in order so everyone to benefit, because no one benefits if we can't get the players on the pitch. So from our point of view, I think the majority of the credit is how we've handled him on an individual basis, right across his performance programme. And then once we get him on the pitch, he brings some very special attributes. He's very good in the air, very strong, and he's showing some leadership stuff as well around. I think one of the contributing factors in our improvement has been around playing tough and as a set of backs, and he's certainly been at the forefront from a leadership point of view, as is Owen Williams. You know, the usual suspects have carried on doing it, but those two, you know, have sort of supported Webby and crew and to make sure that we are resilient. So it's not just around getting him back on the pitch, and it's not just about his own performance. He wants to win, he wants people to perform well, and he's taken a lot of ownership in that area. So that's the exciting thing about bringing Alex Cufford back to Wales for me.
Yeah. Michael Collins was on a big fanfare when he kind of arrived at the Ospreys, and he's had to deal with some big players in the positions that he's been playing. Give us an insight into what he's been like as a character, because again on the weekend there was an element of calmness there, but also seeing the game early that was really impacted.
Yeah, Mikey's definitely a student of the game for sure, and the fact he plays in so many positions shows that he can be, you know, very, very good and credible in a lot of positions he plays. And one thing that every coach will want will be leadership and vocality around, you know, options and being and driving the team forward. Mikey's probably one of the most selfless players that we've got. You know, we often refer to him, and it sounds like a derogatory term, but they're gold dust for coaches. He's very much a glue player. He brings things together, sticks it all together, and as a result, I think you saw a lot of the good things that we did at the weekend Mikey was involved in. So from that point of view, great for the youngsters, which you know is important for me. And for us as a group, he's brought a lot of those youngsters on. As I said, there was a lot of good stuff around him this weekend.
I wouldn't be doing my job, mate, if I didn't ask you about Rhys Webb. Explain what happened there, because every time we see him, it seems to be a guy who's revelling, relishing, leading, but for some reason he just was never mentioned in terms of Wales dispatches.
That's obviously a question for someone else, really. And all I can do is champion him like I've done week in and week out for the last 18 months. And the players behind him that have pushed him, to be fair. So he could quite easily have got disillusioned and let somebody in through the door. But Webby's a great competitor above anything else. And in any competition, derby games, international rugby, leadership, he's a massive competitor, and he's brought that to it. And, you know, I think he's relished being in the captain's role in Justin's absence as well, so giving him some authority, I think, has been good for him. And he's a bloke who leads from the front for sure. Like any player, he's not always going to be perfect, but his intent is to be positive and push the team, and that's been really, really infectious for us.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
And to you. All good?
Hi, Toby. Sorry.
That's all right.
How important is it now to keep the momentum going? Because obviously you mentioned it's a slow start to the season, and now you can start to climb up, can't you?
I thought that was a trick question you were asking me there, Harry. No, it's obviously a very important thing. Sport is fickle, for sure, and we've got some good momentum, and the challenge is to keep it, because nothing reinforces what you're doing and gives you the belief to keep doing it and the confidence to keep doing it more than the result and the outcome, right? So, as I said, we've been a very resilient group, and the losing bonus point column and the try bonus point column tells you that. But nothing beats getting across the line, and getting those couple of results in quick succession has certainly helped it, and it helped, if nothing else, it helps the mood of the group. So yeah, we're in a good place, and long may it continue. But we know how tough that's going to be this week, and the following week we've got Leinster, and then we're back into English and French champions again. So it's certainly not going to get any easier, and it's going to be a very, very tough ask. But we understand that, and we know what we all sign up for. So if we can keep that going, it'll be really critical for us.
Yeah, and the stats this season, you've been playing good rugby all the way throughout, generally top 10 in every area, but how pleased are you now that you're starting to put all those areas together for the full performance and cutting out some of the errors that maybe caused you issues in the past? Yeah,
I think where we have certainly improved is defensively. I think that we certainly have, we've certainly been harder to break down and playing tough, like we said, and the Montpellier performance was, full of that sort of defensive presence, and again, even with 14 men, Scarlets are going to provide you difficult questions around defence. So, I think what epitomised it was in the 75th minute, they had like 15 phases in R22 and still didn't manage to cross. Shows me a team that care about each other, care about what they're doing, and are desperate to win. So from that point of view, I think that's certainly improved. And if you're harder to, score against, then if you can add the attacking prowess that we've shown, then the chances are you're going to be on the right side of the result. So from that point of view, that's been good.
Yeah, there's been some positive signs with the attacking game, but obviously Cardiff now pose a different threat at the breakdown. A few teams have tried to really change their attack because of that breakdown battle, but you've got some excellent breakdown components there in your team. So how do you see that going?
It's a key battle, right? If you want to be an attack-based team, you've got to keep hold of the ball. You've got to keep out the ball on your terms, and they've got some extremely good players from a jackal point of view and a defensive breakdown point of view. We know that there's a massive threat coming, and we know they're going to commit high numbers to breakdowns. The trade-off is if they get it wrong and they put high numbers into breakdowns, then there's going to be space somewhere. But we know they're very hard to break down. Often they've got 13 and 14 in the front line of their defensive line. So, we're going to have to be patient and accurate for sure, because I don't think we'll always get it our own way. But our intent will be obviously to try and influence that part of the game, because we know that that's the only way to score tries. So from that point of view, we need to make sure that we can do that.
Yeah, and do you see the line out as a particular area where you can really make a difference in this game?
I think that set pieces are massive. You talked about defence earlier. I talked about defence earlier, but set piece is also a massive part of rugby and the fundamentals of the game. That, and obviously now you get out of your own half. So your fundamentals always have to be good. I make no apologies for recruiting well in that area, or it being a focal point and part of a DNA of our team. So from that point of view, we need to make sure that we can try and impose ourselves. As I said, because they're very good defensively and breakdown wise, you need to try and impose yourself where you can at any set piece, to be fair, because you can get on the front foot and try and stay there. But if you don't execute your first phase and your set piece stuff, then you're always going to find it difficult.
Yeah, and Cardiff are obviously on a really good run at the moment. What do you want from your team? How do you think you can really crack them?
I'm less worried about, as boring as it is, I'm less worried about them in relation to what we have to do for them. It's about what we want to do and can we do it, and that's the challenge. And when you're playing teams that are informed, teams that are good, teams that have played well, teams that are towards the top of the table, you don't get many opportunities. So what you've got to do is execute the ones you get. So I think it's going to be a consistency element for it, and as I said, you've got to win key moments in order to win tight games, and this will certainly be a tight game for sure, I think.
Yeah, and just finally, you mentioned a bit about the discipline earlier, but the team has had an excellent discipline record all season. How important has that been? Yeah,
I mean, that's another way of progressing up the pitch, right? Because you give stuff away for free. We talk about the magic number is 20 in relation to turnovers and penalties against. So if you can keep below 20, normally you're in the contest. If you get above that number, things are very, very difficult. So, for example, last week we were at 20 all in, where Scarlets were at 30. So, that tells you how it can be. So from our point of view, it's just about how you don't make yourself harder to beat or make yourself harder to defend. It's about making sure that you don't give stuff and people progression up. We play a territory game and progression up the pitch for free.